Events had unfolded differently? What if Quicksilver lived in Avengers Age of Ultron? Would events of the MCU have changed drastically? In today's What If episode, we will be exploring if Quicksilver was not killed in the second installment of the Avengers movie. Quicksilver, the speedster, was killed just after 2 appearances in the MCU, and while his sister Wanda Maximoff had a bigger role in the MCU, including the series WandaVision. Without further ado, let's dive right into today's fan fiction. In this fan fiction, Quicksilver saves Hawkeye and the child from the gunfire. At the same time, he was able to successfully dodge the bullets and moved both of them from the gunfire. Events would change drastically as Quicksilver is now alive. He would then help the remaining Avengers to defeat Ultron and his armies. While Wanda would not be as enraged as she was when her brother died, she would still destroy Ultron's primary body, and Vision would ultimately destroy Ultron's last remaining body. The ending of Avengers Age of Ultron would still be the same, but this time Quicksilver would join the new Avengers in training with War Machine, Vision, Sam Wilson, and Wanda herself. During the events of Crossbones attempting to steal biological weapons from the lab of Legos, Quicksilver would play a critical role in preventing Rumlow from killing the Wakandian humanitarian workers. When Crossbones attempted to blow himself up, instead of Wanda telekinetically diverting the explosion, Quicksilver comes to the rescue in time. He managed to prevent Crossbones from self-destructing and grab a hold of the bombs in time from detonating. With his super speed, with the bombs safely away from Crossbones, time went back to normal and Captain America was able to defeat Crossbones and the Wakandian humanitarian workers who were killed in the original timeline were now saved. The events of Civil War would not have occurred as the Sokovia Accords did not occur. There were no killings of the innocent, hence the United Nations had no desire to oversee or control the Avengers. With the events of Civil War averted, the Avengers would have been united for the events in facing Thanos and his goons. They would have been training to be stronger instead of having a fallout at the Sokovia Accords. As the Sokovia Accords were cancelled, there would not have been a bombing at the conference in Vienna, and King T'Chaka would not have been killed. Steve Rogers and Sam Wilson would have tracked down Bucky as they had more time on their hands instead of needing to worry about the Sokovia Accords. They eventually tracked down and subdued Barnes, preventing Baron Zemo from ever brainwashing Barnes again. Quicksilver decided that since his sister was with Vision, he wanted to give them some private space instead of clinging onto her all the time. He told Wanda that he would train himself to be stronger and to see if there was any other mutants like them around the world. Hawkeye and Ant-Man went their separate ways too, as Hawkeye wanted to spend more time with his family, while Ant-Man wanted to learn more about the quantum realm. With Quicksilver separated from Wanda and the rest, the events of Infinity War would play out the same. Thor's ship would have been destroyed, allowing Thanos to acquire the Space Stone from the Tesseract after the decimation of Xandar. With now the Power and Space Stone, Thanos would send his goons to Earth. Hulk would crash into the Sanctum Sanctorum before turning back into Bruce Banner and warning them of Thanos. This time, as Iron Man was not in bad blood with Captain America, without hesitation, Tony would call for assistance as Rogers and the rest of his supposed team in Civil War. Captain America, Black Widow, and Falcon would arrive in New York City in time when the Black Order arrived. Doctor Strange would not have been captured as the Avengers were almost at their full strength, with the exception of the absence of Thor, Hulk, and Hawkeye. Tony wanted to sneak onto Ebony Maw's spaceship, but Rogers told him that it was better for them to unite as a group rather than being separated. Ebony Maw decided to retreat into space, and this time Tony and Peter Parker did not sneak onto his spaceship. They would instead place a tracking device on it to determine the route of Ebony Maw's spaceship. Rogers then told the rest of the Avengers to regroup at Wakanda as they can get the help of Black Panther alongside his armies. Meanwhile, in space, The Guardians of the Galaxy responded to the distress call from the Asgardian spaceship and eventually rescued Thor, events where Thor enlisted the aid of the King Dwarf Eitri to create the Stormbreaker, while the other half of the Guardians traveled to nowhere. Thanos would eventually kidnap Gamora and acquire the Soul Stone's location to save Nebula from torture. Thanos eventually kills Gamora, getting the Soul Stone with the previous acquired Reality Stone. The Guardians were enraged with Thanos and tried to pursue him, but failed as Thanos used the Space Stone to escape. This means that Thanos now only needs the Time and Mind Stone to complete his gauntlet. With the tracker planted by Tony earlier on Embity Ma's spaceship, Tony learned that the Black Order, led by Thanos, is on their way to Earth. The Avengers decided that the best way to pursue Thanos from getting all the stones is to destroy the Mind Stone, which was on Vision's head. As in the original timeline, Wanda refused to allow Vision to be killed, but gave in as it was the best option. Tony told Vision that he would try to resurrect Vision somehow later after the war with Thanos, this time with the combined intelligence of Tony, Shuri, and Bruce. The process of removing the Mind Stone off Vision was quicker compared to when it was Shuri alone in the original timeline. At Wakanda, Black Panther rallied his fellow Wakandians while the Avengers were led by Captain America himself this time. This time, they were more prepared with their full strength, with the exception of Thor, Quicksilver, and the Guardians of the Galaxy, while the trio of Tony, Shuri, and Bruce were removing the Mind Stone off of Vision. The rest of the Avengers and the Wakandians would engage in a brutal fight with Thanos and his army. Thanos would eventually arrive on Earth using the Space Stone, and the battle on Titan would not have occurred as Tony and Peter never went into space in the first place. As the Avengers were evenly matched against Thanos and his armies, they soon found themselves to be overpowered by the countless hordes of the Outriders. Thanos instructed his Black Order lieutenants to break the Avengers apart by assigning each member to fight against the Avengers. Thanos himself faced Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Wong, and Black Panther, while the rest of the team were battling the Outriders and the Black Order, with the absence of Iron Man in the fight, who was busy removing the stone with Shuri and Bruce. The Avengers found themselves to be coming in short against the Mad Titan himself, despite not having the stones. Thanos was a formidable foe with the Reality Stone, Space Stone, and the Soul Stone. As Thanos was overpowering the Avengers, he then felt something swift coming in his direction. Thanos was then punched in the gut several times from all directions, giving the Avengers the upper hand they needed. Rogers was shocked on who it was, and it was surprised to be none other than Quicksilver himself. Quicksilver has brought with him several reinforcements of the New Mutants, which comprised of Migraine, Wolfbane, Magic, Cannonball, and Sunspot. The Young Mutants assisted the other Avengers in fighting the Outriders. Quicksilver told Rogers that he will explain what happened later, but their main objective is to now subdue Thanos and remove the Infinity Gauntlet from his hand. Thanos knew that he would be unable to match the speed of Quicksilver and decided to use the Reality Stone to create illusions of himself to trick the Avengers. On the other side of the battlefield, Bucky, Vision, War Machine, Wanda, and the rest of the Wakandians were trying to hold off the Outriders and the Black Order from invading Wakanda and interrupting the removal of the Mind Stone from Vision. As they were being overwhelmed, a bright light emerged from the sky, and a large ray of thunderbolts completely annihilated the Outriders who were in the direction of the blast. The Avengers rejoined as Thor arrived with Rocket Raccoon and Groot on Earth. Star-Lord's spaceship also arrived as they met with Thor after Thor received his Stormbreaker. With the Guardians of the Galaxy except Gamora, who was sacrificed by Thanos for the Soul Stone, the new reinforcements even the odds against the Black Order and the armies. A tight battle ensued between both in Wakanda, where Shuri, Tony, and Bruce were extracting the Mind Stone from Vision. They have successfully extracted it. Before the removal of the stone, Tony promised Vision that he will create a new and stronger body for Vision and resurrect him. With the Mind Stone in his hand and Doctor Strange having the Time Stone, they decided that the next course of action is to remove the gauntlet from Thanos. Thanos was still fighting with the rest of the Avengers when Iron Man and Shuri arrived to subdue Thanos. Thanos empowered himself with the Power Stone, attempted to bring his spaceship down, crashing onto the Avengers, but Tony and Bruce in the Hulkbuster armor tried to hold the spaceship from crashing onto them. With not much time left, Rogers went to Thor and told him that they needed someone to wield the gauntlet once it's removed. Thor agreed that since he was a god and practically immortal, he is the only one capable of wielding the gauntlet without killing himself. Strange, Spider-Man, and Iron Man were trying to subdue Thanos, while the rest of the Avengers were trying to hold off Thanos from using his powers. As Thanos was struggling, Wanda used her telekinetic powers to tie down Thanos to the ground before Thor came flying down with his Stormbreaker. He used his Stormbreaker to chop Thanos' hand that had the gauntlet on, with Thanos groaning in pain and the Black Order coming close to his aid. Strange removed the Time Stone from the Eye of Agamotto, and Tony inserted the Mind Stone into the gauntlet. Now the gauntlet was complete, and the Outriders with the Black Order were coming closer. Tony gave the gauntlet to Thor, who then wielded it in front of a desperate Thanos. Thor snapped, and Thanos alongside his armies vanished into dust. They slowly disintegrated and the war was over. They were victorious, but at a cost. Thor has lost his arm that was used to wield the gauntlet, and now he has a lost eye and arm. Thor was then brought to the Wakandian health facility for treatment. Wanda was devastated that as much as they won, Vision was no longer with her due to the removal of the Mind Stone. Quicksilver then rallied the New Mutants, who did well in fighting against the Outriders in their first real battle. He introduced them to Wanda and Rogers, and he said that while he took some time off, in reality he was searching for more mutants like himself. After the New Mutants escaped from the Essex Corporation, he stumbled across them and decided to aid them. Quicksilver went back to the Avengers facility with the New Mutants, but received news from Friday that the Avengers have already traveled to Wakanda to face Thanos, and the rest was history. Days later, Tony presented a robotic arm for Thor as a replacement for his arm that was gone when he wielded the gauntlet. Thor said that he would find a new home for the remaining Asgardians and told Valkyrie to take his steed as the new ruler of Asgard while he recuperates. Steve Rogers would be unable to go back in time as the Time Stone was destroyed with the gauntlet that was wielded. However, he decided to hang up the mantle of Captain America and gave his shield to Falcon. He trusted the Captain America symbol to both Falcon and Bucky Barnes. As a promise to Pepper Potts, Tony Stark stopped becoming Iron Man but would continue to serve as an advisor to the Avengers. However, he would no longer participate in any active combat. He said that he would continue to work to bring Vision back to life somehow. Wanda told the rest of the team that she wanted to have some time for herself and decided to retreat from the Avengers, eventually setting up WandaVision's plot, and Quicksilver brought the New Mutants to the Avengers headquarters, and Natasha told him that she had intel of the school for mutants somewhere in America. Black Panther, who has already introduced Wakanda to the world, was elected as the new leader of the Avengers. With the absence of Iron Man and Captain America as the core Avengers, the rest of the team knew that they needed to be united for the next threat. The Guardians of the Galaxy mourned the death of Gamora, and Thor decided to join them with the new mechanical arm, leaving Valkyrie as the new ruler of Asgard. That's it for this What If, and what do you guys think would have happened if Quicksilver had ended up living in Avengers Age of Ultron? Do let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about this fan fiction. While Quicksilver may have been killed off pretty quickly in the MCU, the son of Magneto will have a place among the Marvel and X-Men fans. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of this video, share your thoughts, and let me know what the next What If is. I will be doing a ton more What Ifs, so do make sure to subscribe, like, share, and turn your notifications on so you and your friends are all up to date with the latest content. But anyways, as always guys, thanks for tuning in, and have an amazing day.